Welcome back. Chapter 29. When Olivia opened her eyes, she had no idea where she was. As she stared at the desk with the empty bookshelves behind it, memories began coming back to her. Alan and Kevin and Hildy. No, it was Kit and Tisha and the boys. It was Summerhill and wash machines and huge delivery trucks. No, it was embassies around the world. She lifted her hand and looked at it, saw the lines and the spots on her skin that all the sunscreen in the world couldn't prevent. Beside her were Kathy and Elise, still in their chairs, their eyes closed, both of them smiling. Wherever they were, whenever, they looked happy. As Olivia got up, her joints seemed to creak and her body felt stiff and slow. Age, she thought. Gradually, her mind began to unclutter. Her life with Kit was getting a bit clearer than her life with Alan. A vision of her father riding a camel came to her. He learned to cross his legs on the saddle and push to make the animal keep its head down and go forward. Her mother used to giggle in delight at her husband's gorgeous new thigh muscles. As their daughter, Olivia should have been embarrassed, but she wasn't. But then her mother said that marriage to Kit had changed Livy into an old soul. Kit said he'd made her grow up. Olivia said that having to deal with his life wore her out so much that she became old early. What? Smiling at the thoughts, she stretched, trying to flex her muscles, taking note of the changes in her body. Her stomach was bigger, the skin more loose. She put her hand on it and closed her eyes for a moment. Having 4 children had stretched her. How she complained to Kit. But of course, she'd really wanted reassurance that he still loved her even if the beautiful 22-year-old body was gone. He always proved it by making love to her. Like his hair, that part of him had never faded in strength. She opened the office door and leaned against the jamb. Too much was in her mind. Giving up Tisha was clear, but so was holding her daughter as her family and Kit's looked on. A top hospital and staff had been able to save Olivia's reproductive system after the difficult birth. Okay, because I was like 4 kids? At the time, Kit was still in Libya, but they managed to get word to him that his daughter and wife were well. Right now, her memory of tears was mixed with thoughts of joy. Thoughts of traveling with Kit were intertwined with memories of trying to manage appliance stores. Kevin's inactivity, even as a child, was twisted around the blazing energy of her and Kit's 3 sons. When Olivia opened her eyes, Arita was standing there looking concerned. "Are you all right?" Olivia pushed away from the door. "I think I will be, but my mind needs to settle." "Come and have some tea. I made some cream cookies." Olivia sat down at the table and sipped her tea. Her head came up. "My father, he didn't die at his workbench." She began to remember. "I threw a fit and made him have his heart checked. Kit's family got him really good treatment. It's slowly coming back to me." She ate a cookie. "Kit and I own the whole Camden estate. It was a wedding gift from his parents. And the cottage in his office? Oh, I have a degree in psychology. I see patients." She smiled. "After our little wedding, my parents were very happy when I told them that until Kit returned, I was going back to school to study psychology. My father said that half of the world was crazy, so I'd always have work." She couldn't help the tears that came to her eyes. I missed them so much. She put her hands to her head. If I think of a person or a place, the memory comes to me. But my life with Alan is still clear. Did he marry Diane and have Kevin? Did she die? What about Willie? What happened to all of them? She rubbed her forehead. "I seem to remember that Trumbull Appliances was sold. I think it's now a furniture store." She was thinking hard. Wait, Alan and Willie did get married. I was in Richmond then, living with my parents, and I was hugely pregnant. I was very pleased to hear of the wedding. Mom said she didn't know I knew them, and I didn't, not in that life. Olivia looked up at Arita. They divorced. Now I remember. Willie left Alan and married the man who built those ticky-tacky houses near us at Camden Hall. Kit said he wished he brought that land in memory of. Olivia smiled. Of our naked scurrying across there. Young Pete still has my bra in a frame in his house. I wonder if Elise's is there too. Did that happen with her? Or was that wiped out like my marriage to Alan was? Beats me, Arita said. I'm new at this. She gave Olivia a hard look, but you need to know everything since you're going to take over Dr. Hightower's job. Oh, Olivia said. There is that memory buried under all of them. I don't know if I can do that. You have to, Arita said, and you have to keep what you do a secret. The reason I moved here is to be near you. She looked so frightened that she might pass out. Olivia got up, put her arms around the girl, and led her to sit down. Everything will work out, you'll see. She glanced at the door. How long will they stay in their trance? Until I pull them out. I just think very hard and tell them to come back, and they do. But those two are so happy they could stay forever. They don't want to wake up. But I did. I don't think you've solved everything in your life. Aunt Primrose told me this might happen. When people only go back a few years, it's easier. But you went back a long time, and you had 2 complete lives. It's harder for you to sort things out. I don't understand why Alan and Willie didn't stay together. You should have seen them in the hospital when he was dying. She cried incessantly. She kept begging me to find a way to cure him. How could you do that? I don't know, Olivia said. They seemed to think I could do anything. She paused. I need some answers. I know where Willie and her second husband live. I need to go see her now. Can you? Can I keep them asleep until you get back? I'll try, but they'll want you to be here after they wake up. Elise especially. That girl has grown to love you. It's mutual. Take your time. Do what you need to do. Minutes later, Olivia was driving down FM 77 towards the town. Willie and her husband lived in a huge house on the outskirts. Olivia had seen the house only once, and it had been the talk of everyone. It's like that awful place Kevin and Hildy lived in, Olivia thought. But now that was in a time that had never happened. As she drove slowly through the town, she remembered when Kit had driven her around. She looked at each house and thought of who lived where and what had happened to them. Even though she tried to warn people, the same tragedies nearly always happen. And right now she was thinking of them as her failures. But at the end of the street, she pulled the car over and turned off the engine. The yellow house on the end had not been in the scene of unspeakable tragedy. The girl who'd grown up there had not slit her wrist because she'd been bullied at school. At first, the memory was vague, but as Olivia looked at the house, it became more clear. She and Kit and Tisha were in Summer Hill on vacation. Olivia had her degree then, but she hadn't practiced much. They were by the lake with a picnic lunch when she saw a girl being teased by 2 others, and the girl looked like she was going to cry. Olivia didn't know why she was so drawn to the situation, but she knew she had to step in. The girl, Lisa, had parents who were too busy, too extroverted to see what was being done to their quiet, introverted daughter. Olivia invited the girl to join them, and after that day, they started corresponding. When she was back in Summer Hill, they talked. I remembered Olivia and the little girl. On the day, which is her granddaughter, remember? On the day that would have been when Lisa committed suicide, Olivia knew she had to get to the school. She didn't know why, but she ran to the girls' locker room just in time to keep the boys out, and she got Lisa's clothes back to her. After that, Olivia had long professional talks with the principal about those bratty girls and with Lisa's parents. Today, Lisa was married with 2 children and she taught elementary school. Olivia sat in the car for a few moments to let the memories sift through her brains. It's like waiting for the cream to come to the surface, she thought. Maybe she hadn't been able to save everyone, but at least she'd succeeded with a few. When she pulled into Willie's driveway, she wondered what she'd find. For those 3 weeks when she was in 1970, Kit had enjoyed tales of the internet and cell phones and overnight delivery with the passion of a drug addict. But he deeply disliked what she told him about her marriage, and he disagreed with it all. I pushed my way into his life, she said. I needed a child. I was starving. You can't sympathize because you're not a mother. It's true that I don't understand men who don't support their family, Kit said. Olivia couldn't make him see that Alan was a different type of person. He wasn't as strong as Kit, and Alan hadn't had the advantages that Kit had. Nothing she said made him understand. She rang the doorbell, then waited, her heart pounding. When Willie came to the door, Olivia was pleasantly surprised. Willie no longer looked like she'd never done an exercise in her life. She was trim and had on makeup, and her hair was soft and sleek. She was in her late 60s now, but she looked good. Olivia Montgomery, Willie said. How nice to see you. How's your family? Fine, and yours? She was trying to dredge up what she knew from her 2 rows of memory. Willie and Alan, Willie and her contractor husband, Willie and... Elena is your daughter, and you're Kevin's stepmother. Oh, heavens, what's he done now? He didn't try to sell you anything, did he? Sorry, where are my manners? I just made some iced tea. Come in and have some? Willie's kitchen was pretty and bright and clean, and they sat at the little breakfast table with frosty glasses of tea. Now, Willie said, letting Olivia know she was ready to hear whatever she had to say. I know we don't know each other very well, but don't you remember that I met Alan through you? That you invited me to that appliance sale? Olivia remembered it well, but she didn't get them together. Diane. Willie laughed. Oh, yeah, that's right. You and the man you married locked Alan and Diane in that closet together. I thought that was really funny. When Mr. Trumbull opened it, they were kissing. I thought, what a great guy Alan was to turn something bad into good. He married Diane, and after she died, Willie shrugged. You were there? Willie's face changed. To my great loss. She got up to get some cookies. Have some? I can't eat any as I gain weight just smelling them. You married Alan? Olivia encouraged. Yes, I married the lazy jerk. Willie waved her hand. I shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but after what I went through with that man, I can say anything. But you don't want to hear about that. Oh, I do, Olivia said. I want to hear every word. See this? Willie motioned to her huge new house. This is what a man is supposed to provide for a woman, a home. She wiggled her left hand to show a big diamond ring. This is what he's supposed to give her. But Alan didn't do anything. He was a parasite. You'll never believe this, but he expected me to do all the work of running the appliance store. And his mother was just like him. They were like twin sci-fi creatures that latched on and tried to suck all the juice out of me. She grabbed the sides of her hair and pulled. It still makes me so angry I want to scream. She let go of her hair. Alan came up with grandiose schemes of more stores and how he was going to do all the work. So his mother brought a store, then Alan went off to play golf. One time I got really angry and demanded that he show me his golf clubs. The bastard didn't have any. I'm not sure, but I think he was having an affair and he expected me to support him and his mistress. She leaned forward. Right after our daughter was born, I got out. Willie grimaced. When I think of that man, do you know how he met his 3rd wife? She didn't wait for Olivia to answer. Alan had a girl who worked in the office. She was really good with numbers and people, a real find. One day he came to me. By that time I was working for my current husband and said he wanted Elena for the day. I thought that was weird since he didn't pay much attention to her, but I don't look a gift horse in the mouth, if you know what I mean. I do, Olivia said softly, eyes wide. Alan took our daughter to work and did his helpless act. He was so good at that. You ever know a man who did that? Yes, Olivia said, intimately. So anyway, Alan told her I was a lazy ex-wife and he had no one to help him, etc. 6 months later, they were married. She divorced him 2 years after that. I know all this because she came to me to apologize for all the bad things she thought about me. It wasn't me, Olivia whispered. You, Willie said. You can't mean you and Alan. I can't imagine you would ever fall for a do-nothing like Alan Trumbull. Only if I had a trauma in my life so horrible that it made me feel like I deserved to be treated badly. Willie looked at her for a moment. That's right. You're a psychologist, aren't you? Maybe I should make an appointment and talk about how bad Alan made me feel. He had me believing I didn't deserve more than he gave me, which wasn't much of anything. What happened to Kevin? Oh, poor kid. He's very much like his father, married a couple of times, but they didn't last long. No kids. Was one of them a girl named Hildy? Wow, you've got a good memory. He dated a big girl named Hildy when he was in his 20s, but by the time the appliance stores were failing, when she dumped Kevin, he was real upset about it. Personally, I think she wanted a man with money. Do you know what happened to her? Wasn't she in that play you guys put on last year? That was great. I can't believe you got two big name movie stars here to Little Summerhill. You want some more tea? Olivia stood up. I want to go see my home, she said. I want to remember all the good. And most of all, I want to forgive myself. Willie was looking at her as though she wasn't quite sane. Sure, I'll show you out. As Olivia got into her car, all she could think was that Alan's misery wasn't her fault. Her ability to do things, to manage multiple appliance stores, to run a house, take care of a difficult child, all of it were things he wanted. But he'd made her feel. Olivia had to pull over to the side of the road to bury her face in her hands and let herself cry. But it was a good cry, one of relief. She had carried so much guilt in her. During all those years she was married to Alan, she felt that she ruined his life. How the heck can you? Okay. If she hadn't gone after him, he would have found a sweet girl like Willie. They would have been a family and been happy. You just heard her tell you. But that wasn't true. Alan got the woman he loved for so many years, but without Olivia supporting them by working 6 days a week, they weren't happy. Willie said Alan was a parasite. But wasn't that what Willie was too? The only thing she said about the husband she had now was that he could provide her with a good house and rings for her fingers. Olivia looked out the windshield. She tried hard to give people what they said they wanted. Alan said he wanted more stores, more of her being a wife to him. By that, he meant running the house as well as the stores, taking care of Kevin, rescuing Kevin, trying to make Alan feel like a man. Olivia began to smile. Willie was right in that Olivia would never have fallen for a man like Alan. He and his stores had been her punishment for the guilt she felt at losing her daughter. But that hadn't happened. For a moment, she closed her eyes and remembered seeing her beautiful daughter grow up. Tisha had been a quiet child who loved being with her parents wherever they went. For years, they were a happy threesome, content to follow Kit around the world. He'd come home and tell them they were to move to Yemen or Dubai or Morocco, usually somewhere in the Middle East, as that was Kit's area of expertise. He'd leave it to his wife and daughter to pack up and move. It was what Rowan said had been dumped on his mother, and she couldn't handle it. But Olivia had loved it. Irony, she thought. Kit had loved what Olivia was good at, while Alan had hated it, been jealous of it. When she'd done something big in her life with Alan, he'd sneer at her, then said something meant to put her down. But with Kit, when she accomplished some huge task, he'd thank her, praised her, whirled her around in his arms, and made love to her. At the thought of the life she'd had with Kit, she smiled broadly. The smile started inside her, under her rib cage, then spread outward. Gradually, it took over her body, and that smile pushed out the guilt she carried all those many years she lived with Alan. Gone was the guilt about her daughter and the penance she paid for it by allowing Alan to endlessly punish her. When the smile finally reached her lips, she knew she was a different person. No more guilt. Best of all, there were no more looking back, no more regret. Olivia started the car. She wanted to see her home. For all their travels, Little Summerhill, Virginia had been where they called home. When she pulled through the gate, she saw young Pete, and he gave her a half smile. She remembered how Kit and the caretaker had bonded as they worked together on the big estate. Kit's early job at Tatwell had come in handy. Whenever he had a big decision to make, he grabbed the garden tools and went to work. She parked by Diane's cottage, but that name was gone. By the door was a brass plaque that said Dr. Olivia Paget Montgomery, psychologist. As she touched the corner of it, more memories came back to her. Wherever they lived, she kept up her certification because she knew it was important. She had remembered Arita and her ability to change the past, but Olivia had been fierce about keeping up with her training. One time, Kit had been quite unpleasant about her returning to the U.S. to take some courses. He couldn't go with her, so he used all his skills of persuasion to get her to stay. His argument was that she could let her credentials lapse and renew them later, but Olivia had stood her ground and told him no. He mumbled that only dictators were as unbendable as she was. She took that as a compliment. She opened the door and went inside. The living room where she and Elise had sat with a shirtless Ray was her waiting room, and where she met with groups of people. She had clients who drove in from Charlottesville and Richmond to attend Saturday afternoon sessions that sometimes lasted for hours. The downstairs bedroom was where she sat with individual clients. Unfortunately, in the closet was a 4-foot-tall stack of boxes of tissues. She went upstairs just hours ago. These two bedrooms had been where she and Elise stayed, where Elise had closed the windows in fear of being found out. Now, that room was Olivia's office. Bookshelves, her desk, and filing cabinets filled it. She knew that to refresh her memory, she would go through every folder, listen to tapes, and review the videos. Her clients deserved that. The room where Olivia had stayed was still the bedroom. When Kit was away, she often slept there, surrounded by files and tapes. A few times, women had used the room, hiding from some horror that had happened in their lives. She went back downstairs and out to the back. The little walled-in area was now a garden, and she knew that in the summer she often held group sessions there. Leaving her office, she walked across the lawn past a huge expanse of manicured grass in front of Camden Hall. This morning, when she and Kathy and Elise had run off in the car to some woman they sure was a Charterland, the big house had been empty. No one had lived in it for years. In 1970, Olivia had only spoken to Kit of the house once. His reaction, like she was after him for his family's money, had upset her so much that she not mentioned it again. But Kit had remembered. The night before their tiny wedding, he slipped into her bedroom at Tatwell and handed her an old shoebox. He hadn't said anything, just let his dancing eyes speak for him. She assumed it was a gag gift, something silly to make her laugh. Inside were some wadded up scraps of fabric that had been used to make animals for the kids. In the middle was a big steel ring with a half-dozen keys on it. "What's this?" she asked. "If these are the keys to your heart, they're too small." He kissed her for that, then stretched out beside her, took the ring, and held up a big rusty key. "This is to the gate, although I've been told it's never locked." He began flipping through the keys. "This is to Diana's cottage, Camden Hall, River House, and..." He broke off because Olivia was staring at him. "Isn't this what you wanted? Dad had a hard time getting the place. It's been empty all these years because the family couldn't agree on which one of them owned it. They settled it by no one being allowed to do anything but pay for the upkeep. Dad had to get a friend of his to go to Burma to get one of the owners to sign the deed." He looked at her. "Please tell me you didn't change your mind." "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Tell Dad he's the best there is and that you'll name a kid after him and he'll be happy forever." "What's his name?" "Tulash," Kit said. Olivia put the keys in the box, the lid on, and handed it back to him. "It's not worth it." He laughed. "It's a good Scottish name, but using it in the middle will be fine. Christopher Tulash Montgomery II might work." When she groaned, he kissed her. They would have made love, but Ace opened the door. Behind him was a sleepy Letty. As always, they thought she was home with her parents. All day the children had been quiet. They were worried about the wedding, afraid Olivia was going to leave them. Kit is going away, but I'm staying right here, Olivia told them again. You're going to New York, Letty said. They were standing at the foot of the bed. No, I'm not, Olivia opened her arms to them, and they crawled up to her. Ace on one side, Letty on the other, Kit on the end. I vote for a story, Kit said. With dragons, Letty said. And knights, Ace said. I guess I could tell you some about Khalees and her baby dragons. All three of them snuggled against her. Sorry, George, Olivia whispered to the Arthur, then began. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful young woman who was to marry a huge, terrifically gorgeous young man who wore black around his eyes but very little clothing. And he rode an enormous black stallion and was the ruler of a fierce tribe of more beautiful men. And Kit lifted his head to look at her, but Olivia just smiled and went on with the story. They all fell asleep wrapped around each other and only woke when a flash bulb went off. It was morning. Her mother had arrived to help Livy dress for the wedding, and she'd taken a photo of them. Olivia looked up at the big house and knew that that picture was in a pretty frame on a side table in the well-used living room. One thing she'd done in her time in the past was to see that lots of photos were taken. Her new father-in-law had sent her an excellent camera from Japan, and she began photographing everything. Camden Hall was full of albums and pictures in frames. She didn't go into the big house but kept walking towards the wall that separated River House. 3 of the times she'd been here had turned into a naked escape over the big outer wall. First was with Kit, then Elise, then with Kit again. I think I'll keep my clothes on this time, she thought. When she reached the river that ran in front of the house, she stopped. It was extraordinarily beautiful. She and Kit had owned the place for years now, and she was remembering all the work they put into it. When they were in another country and saw a garden they liked, they copied what they could at River House. Twice, Kit had torn everything out. Both times, he'd been having trouble with some diplomatic negotiations, and the hard labor of gardening had helped him think. For years, Kit and she and Tisha had lived in River House. Camden Hall had been empty most of the time, too big for the 3 of them. So they saved it for guests and parties. Every year, Tisha had a party that included most of Summerhill. Kit went all out with animal rides and friends of his flying in from whichever country Tisha wanted to show the kids. One year, they'd had a demonstration of yak milking. For years after Tisha was born, there'd been no more children. Not for lack of trying on their part. They went to doctors, but they could find nothing wrong with either of them. Nishala, Kit said, it's God will. Every chance they got, they returned to Summerhill, and they filled River House with treasures from around the world. Then when Olivia was nearly 40 years old, one day she couldn't bear the sight or smell of lemons. She thought she was coming down with a cold, but her Egyptian housekeeper put her hand on Olivia's flat stomach and laughed. The clan was born 7 months later. Rowan a year after that, then last was Tully. During her pregnancy with Rowan, Olivia had been worried. She didn't know why, but she kept thinking that something would be wrong. One night she cried and said, he won't be the same. Only now did she understand her concerns. In her other life, Rowan had had a different mother, and the second time he was different. He'd always looked like his father, but this time he had some of Olivia's blonde coloring and her humor. Previously, he'd been a very serious young man, taciturn, almost cold. But then he'd been raised by warring parents. The same but different, Olivia thought. With the arrival of the boys, their lives went from quiet, orderly peacefulness, with Kit being the center of it, to, Olivia smiled, to complete and utter chaos. After the sweet calmness of Tisha, the boys were a shock. Noise, laughter, tumbling fights, accidents, broken things. Rules were considered a challenge. They seemed to truly believe that whoever disobeyed the most won. She and Kit left their fragile treasures in River House and moved to Camden Hall and put bars on the upstairs window. Kit lightened his workload, but they still moved often, and Olivia and the children followed him everywhere. The boys adapted to new languages and grass huts and camel hair tents with extraordinary ease. As for Tisha, when she turned 18, she opted to stay in the U.S. and go to school. She said she had enough of roaming the world, but no one was surprised when she married a young man who wanted to go into diplomacy. Their daughter Lori inherited Olivia's acting talent. Kit had always felt that he cheated Olivia out of a great career on Broadway, so he bought an old warehouse in Summerhill. He made it into a theater, and last summer he put on a play starring their beloved granddaughter. He even conned his famous actor cousin into playing the lead. It had been an extraordinary success, even changing the lives of several people. For a moment, Olivia looked at the difference and the sameness of the two lives. Almost always, death had occurred at the same time in both lives. The same people had married and divorced. She'd been worried that changing one thing would destroy good things, but it hadn't. There had been some bad happenings, like when Kit's father went out sailing and never returned. Every death had nearly killed her, but when Olivia looked back, it had all been nearly the same. Except for Alan, she thought, and again she felt that all-consuming smile flow through her. The great guilt she carried for most of her other life was finally gone. She was especially proud to remember that she changed one life drastically. Just as she'd done the first time, Estelle had miscarried, but without a car wreck. And again, she was told that she could have no more children. At the time, Olivia was pregnant and living in Charlottesville with her parents and going to school. She didn't understand it then, but when she was told of Estelle's miscarriage, she became hysterical. She and Estelle had never been close, but Olivia knew she had to help. She called Dr. Everett, and he gave her the number of the unwed mother's home in Jacksonville. In the end, Estelle adopted a little girl, and it was Olivia who urged her not to keep the adoption a secret. It took a while to get Estelle to go against the beliefs of the era, but she did. And that allowed her and Henry to end up adopting 6 more children. Hi. Olivia turned to see Kathy and Elise sitting on the terrace of River House. They were both smiling in a way that made her sure that they had achieved what they wanted to. Elise ran her hand over the protruding stomach. This is my second. I have 2 children, Kathy said, and you'll never guess who I married. Calvin Nordhoff, Olivia said. Spoiled sport, Kathy said. Is anybody hungry? I am, Elise said. Let's go inside and I'll make tacos and we can talk. Her eyes sparkled. My sister-in-law, Carmen, gave me her recipe. Did she give you her brother too? Olivia asked. In exchange for Kent, I got the much better deal, much better. Olivia and Kathy laughed, but then Olivia said, wait a minute, I thought you wanted to forget the past. Changed my mind. If I forget, then I might slip back into trying to please people who don't exactly have my interest in mind. Alejandro's laughed when I mention things that never happened, but he doesn't mind. Speaking of which, how did your family take your marriage? Kathy asked. Elise snorted. After Kent got Dad out of jail, he thought it might be a good idea to listen to what all of us had to say. But then Kent was threatening to leave Dad in there if he didn't. Jail? I can't wait to hear this, Olivia looked at Kathy. And what about you? Are you okay? Better than I thought possible. I want to know what happened to Andy, Elise said to Kathy as she opened the door. She broke off as she looked about the house. When they were in it before, everything had been so perfectly professionally laid out. Now, the house had that lived-in feeling that a family gave it. There were still art objects from the world, but they were interspersed with cheap trinkets and many photos of laughing people. Elise picked up a picture of 3 good-looking young men. Wow, who are these beautiful creatures? My sons. Olivia told her of her deep, deep love for them. I want to hear every word, Elise said, from both of you. She looked at Kathy. How's Ray? Married to Rita, thanks to me. And you know what? She gained so much weight after her last baby that she's bigger than I ever have been. But Ray is still mad about her and can't keep his hands off of her. She took a breath. I learned that contrary to all those diet people promising happiness if you just get a flat belly, love can't be weighed. It isn't given or denied based on the bathroom scale. Olivia and Elise were smiling at her. Kathy looked at Olivia. Did you get your ex with his mistress? In a roundabout way, I did. But, she looked at Elise Pell's face. Let's feed this young lady, then spend the rest of the day talking. I think we have a lot to tell. Wait, Kathy said, then looked at Elise. I need to know something. Did you get pulled onto that black horse? Oh, yeah, Elise said repeatedly. Our son runs so fast that Alejandro says we made him on the back of that horse. I don't think that's true, but there was that one time when she trailed off dreamily. Olivia put her hands on Elise's back and pushed her towards the kitchen. Food first, then stories. That's the end of chapter 29. I'm saying, like, what the hell? The ending of this book had to be rushed. It had to be written by somebody else because the stories just don't seem to coexist. Like, it's just, what? I'm going to see y'all in the next chapter. Bye for now.